Hello and welcome to Gadget Joe, and today we're taking a look at the Genesis Irid 505 ARGB. Now Genesis might be a name that you've probably not heard of before when it comes to computer cases, but they actually do quite a few different cases, and we're going to try and start reviewing a few more of them on the channel. What we have here today is the Genesis Irid 505 ARGB chassis. As you can see, it's quite a tall, skinny chassis, but it is a full-size ATX case. It is focused more on the entry-level budget range, tends to price at around about £100 mark. There's none available at the moment, but that's mostly due to the COVID restrictions. But obviously when they come available again, I will leave a link in the description down below as to where you can get yourself one if you want to get one. Talking about the case itself, as I mentioned earlier, it is quite a tall, skinny case. Now that doesn't mean that it's restricted, and we'll come to that shortly. Styling wise, it's actually got quite a Fantex-esque styling on the front, but you get that front full panel mesh grille. So it's almost like a Fantex crossed with a fractal design style, which isn't a bad thing at all. It is made up entirely of steel, apart from this front bit here, which is actually plastic. But the rest of it is all steel, so it's actually quite well made, even though it's on the lower end of the case spectrum. What's more is it comes pre-installed with 4 ARGB fans, all 120mm, and they all look fantastic, as you can see here. I have of course built a system in this, so you can get a better idea of what it's like to build inside it, and also what it looks like when it's all set up. When it comes to these fans, actually, considering the price point that they're at, they're probably some of the nicer looking LED fans that I've got my hands on. Dimensions wise, it comes in at 510mm tall, 447mm deep and 220mm wide. It features a full-size tempered glass panel, held in by these 4 thumb screws here, which use the rubber mounting technique. It all marries up really nice with the rest of the case to carry on with that aesthetic as well when it's in place. At the rear, it's business as usual, with space for up to a 140mm fan, with one 120mm fan already included, and 8 expansion slots, with removable covers. Now removable covers should be something that's seen in more cases, because they're just so simple to work with. The top is one piece and houses external I/O and fan mounting with magnetic covers. 2 120mm or 140mm fans are available to be mounted here, alongside 240 and 280mm radiators. The I/O panel consists of power switch, reset, LED switch, dual USB 3, dual USB 2 and mic and audio. On the rear side you get a steel, plain black side panel. Building in the Irid 505 was actually very easy. It was quite a nice experience. The Irid has support for up to a full-size ATX board, and there's plenty of headroom for cable management at the top for your 8-pin CPU header. There's well-placed rubber grommets all around for cable management. To the right you have lots of room for cooling, pumps, reservoirs, rads and fans. 3 120mm ARGB fans included, with space for 3 140mm and up to 360 or 420mm rads, with space in the full length shroud for the hardware to go. Despite it being tall and skinny, it's actually got a generous amount of room inside there. GPU clearance, you've got up to 390mm of room, so even the 3090 at 308mm will sit in there quite nicely. When it comes to CPU coolers, however, it is a little bit more limited, coming in at only 165mm, meaning that some of the larger tower coolers aren't really going to fit in there. When it comes to opening the back of a case, it's pretty much spaghetti junction with cables. There's plenty of zip tie points, which you can utilise when it comes to cable management afterwards, but as it is, they're sort of just all over the place. There is space for up to 5 SSDs and 2 hard drives in this case. 2 of them can be mounted on a steel plate here for easy access and cable routing. The plate is nice and solid too. Another can be mounted next to this, and another 2 in the drive caddy found in the PSU shroud. The drive trays are quite flimsy. They are made of plastic, but there's a reasoning for that, because what you'll find is they actually open up slightly. Now originally I looked at this and I thought, well, I can't really see why they're doing that, but actually they put points on which secure your 2.5-inch drives in there nicely, and then you can just simply clamp it shut with no need for any screws. So actually it's quite a nice touch. It would have been nice to see some slightly better quality plastic used in there though. To the right of a PSU shroud there are foam feet in place for your PSU. The maximum space for your PSU is 190mm, so there should be plenty of room for even the largest power supplies if you need to put them in there. Move to the top left and you get a 3-pin ARGB controller included. This has 6 3-pin fan headers and 6 3-pin ARGB headers. I will note that it's only 3-pin 5V ARGB only, not the 12V 4-pin, so if you're going to be checking it with your motherboard you need to check for compatibility. There is of course that connector for the motherboard sync and control, and it is of course SATA powered. Overall, in the back of it there's plenty of space for working in. The tray is nice and recessed, so actually cable management was quite easy, and as I mentioned before there are plenty of cable tie points for cable management, and it all closed quite nicely. The top panel on the Irid 505 cannot be removed, it is riveted in place, so if you're wanting to obviously modify it somehow then you can remove it via the rivets, but other than that you're probably not really going to need to. The front panel however pulls straight off. It is rather difficult to do due to the positioning of the space underneath to pull it, and also the I/O leads that overhang at the top. Once you do finally get it away, being careful of those cables, you see that actually it could probably be better designed as far as the positioning for those I/O cables. Once again you get another magnetic dust filter, and then you get access for mounting those fans and radiators on the front here. The fans are all 120mm ARGB units. They feature 9 blades that are frosted white for better light diffusion, as you can see here. They are nice and quiet and move substantially a large amount of air. I will try and do a little bit more testing when I've got more capabilities to do so. When it comes to the lighting modes, you can change this via the switch on top of the I/O panel. There are many modes available, and the aesthetics from the lights are actually fantastic. I'd probably go as far as saying that the fans included on this, even though on the budget range, are actually some of my favourite fans when it comes to the lighting. The lighting is subtle, well diffused, and the ring on the outside is a perfect complement to the overall lighting show. Now if you don't want to watch all the modes available from the lighting, you can of course skip to the point that I put here, and then that will show basically the end of the video. However, for the rest of you, enjoy, sit back and watch the lighting modes that are available. And that wraps up our review of the Irid 505 ARGB by Genesis, a name that you've probably never heard of before, but you certainly will from now. Actually, it's probably one of the better value cases that I've got to get my hands on. It's got plenty of features available, plenty of space for mounting hardware. Those 4 included ARGB fans are a real nice touch, especially with the quality of what the fans are. It's got a very nice aesthetic, plenty of airflow, plenty of mounting options for hard drives, for SSDs, and for much more. You've got expandability options so that you can put a custom loop in there if you want to. You can go for plenty of cooling options in terms of fans and radiators, so you could have more fans on here and an AIO put in there as well. Your options are very much plentiful. With all this in mind, I'm actually very happy with the case in general. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I will leave a link in the description below as soon as it comes back into stock, available to buy once all this drama in the world's going over. Again, I've been left very impressed with this. Don't forget to let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this case. And while you're here, don't forget to click like, and then of course hit subscribe for more content like this and to show your support for me. And that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next video.